Hello. Again, I want to begin today by asking a very poignant question regarding the incarnation of Jesus Christ. Since the incarnation is a very uh, vital doctrine for Christians, we need to first of all begin to ask, what is it? The incarnation, we teach that God in Christ became man. That is, the Son of God became a full human being. Why is this important? Because, first of all, it means, number one, that God engages God's self in the affairs of humanity, that God is not averse to entering into the human context and human history, that God is not averse to entering into the human body and human process. That's very important. Now, the incarnation means that the Son of God, Jesus Christ, or that the second person of the Trinity, for those who are Trinitarian, became a human being. In its greatest sense, is this, that the fullness of the Godhead came into humanity, carried the human body, experienced the human soul, experienced human suffering, and then went through the process of humanity, died, was buried, and rose. Now, that's what theology teaches. But the question then becomes, what is the implication of such an event for humanity? Now, we as believers teach that it means that there is a way of salvation for humanity. But again, salvation in most circles is regarded mainly as a spiritual principle that takes you from here to someplace in heaven. But God engaging nature, coming into the physical world. Can you imagine this? When God comes into the physical world, that means everything in nature is impacted. When God becomes a human being, he doesn't just become one person, he becomes all of us, which means that every human being that has ever existed, because God is not bound by time, and when takes a particular position, it impacts it in terms of the past, the present, and the future. So it's like by nature, God enters into man, means that eternity invades time. So there's a first implication. The first implication is that everything in the created universe, when God became man, the incarnation means that everything in the created universe can now feel the immediate impact of divinity because of the entrance of God into the material world. That the material world takes on a spiritual significance, that it now engages divinity at a very low and a very basic level. For humanity, then, it means that the human body, the human soul, and the human spirit, if you may, is now open to God. That is, God is present in a way that God was not present before. That means that the human soul is rewritten, that the human body receives an infusion of life that makes it possible from the moment of the incarnation for man to feel, for man to be able to live forever in the physical body. That's what we teach. So the impact is incredible. That means that the coming of Christ into the world changed humanity. That is, it created a new race of humanity whereby the presence of God has the capacity of, has access to renew the human body so that when man dies, man no longer just remains death. And if man lives to live forever and ever. So it transforms the body, it transforms the soul, and opens up the entrance of the spirit, which is God, into man, and allows that to indwell man. It makes man available to divinity in the fullness sense. So it does affect our biology, it does affect our soul, our psychology, if you may, but it's not psychology in the sense in which we teach, just in terms of emotional process, but it's psychology in terms of that which was created by God, which is the imago or the image of God. So the human soul gets rewritten based on the entrance of God into the world. That's what we call salvation. That means now the soul can be saved. The soul receives life. That is, it moves from death to life. Now, that's one. Number two is, let's again look at its impact on nature. That means the whole earth, the whole creation, now engages God at a level that allows creation to be able to manifest what it wasn't able to manifest before. That is, the technological principle in materiality, or the spiritual principle, if you may, in materiality gets into a higher octave, which means that now, you can move matter from one dimension to another dimension. You can do so much with matter, because now matter is operating in what, in the place where I might call the influence of God. The world can feel God and experience God or spirit in a way it never experienced before. So, and then that means that the energy system of divinity has come into creation, thereby giving creation the capacity to transmute into different kinds of energetic principle. It also not it's only it has also impacted the mind of humanity. The human mind, by the incarnation, has actually began to grow back to its former state when it was in a higher state from the Garden of Eden. That means that what we have lost from the Garden of Eden, which means we were living in a hyperspace. We were living in in a fourth and fifth dimensional reality. That when we fell into a three-dimensional reality, for lack of a better description. But when Christ came, he opened the door to a fourth and fifth dimensional reality. And if you're Jewish, you can even talk about the 10-dimensional reality. If you're a musician, you can talk about the 24-dimensional reality. That means that there is available because of the incarnation, energetic principle, technological principle, possibilities of creative processes that were not available before the coming of Christ in the incarnation. So this actually means that we have not yet seen the kind of technology that will come because of the entrance of God into the material realm. We're going to come to the point where we're going to have technologies that that are not, I don't know how to put it this way. Let's put it this way: that they are not material based, but are spirit based. That is, they are operating at an energy, a finer and subtler energy level that allows humanity to do things that sounds like magic, but it's actually operating because of the incarnation. Because if God can compress divinity into the body of one human being, and then bring all humanity from the past and the future into this body, then that means then that God has compressed in Christ, not just all humanity, but every possible creative principle. Remember, in Christianity, Christ is regarded as the principle by which the universe is created. So, if he is the principle by which the universe is created, it therefore means that his entrance into creation now opens up a new dimension of creativity for those whose nature he has taken. Now that means that humanity can now create things that will even boggle their own mind. That they're going to begin to do things that they can't explain, but it works. They're going to do things that sound like miracles, energy systems, a movement, a jump from one dimension into another, a jump from one planet to another, a jump from one galaxy to another, because the whole creation, not just the earth, all creation has now felt the entrance of divinity into materiality. The incarnation has an incredible implication for us. It has implication in terms of the human biosystem, in terms of the human psychosystem or suke system. It has implication in terms of the human pneumatic system, but it also has implication in terms of the material universe in which we live, meaning that energy systems are increasing that is going to turn matter into spirituality.